Okay, today we're going to make canned vegetarian black bean soup. Our first step to making the black bean soup is to soak the dried black beans.
I still cannot see any beans.
Well, the water has turned really dark in color because the coloring from the beans has colored the water that it's been soaking in, so it's hard to see the beans. Okay, so these have been soaking overnight in water that's covering the beans by at least 3 inches. My next step is going to be to drain them, refill the pot with water and the beans, again cover it by at least 3 inches of water, and simmer for 30 minutes. Okay, let's start with equipment you're going to need. We have our pressure canner. Black bean soup will need to be pressure canned because it is a low acid food. So we have our pressure canner. This is the 23-quart Presto canner. We need our jars. We're using pint-sized jars with a regular mouth. I like to use these in purposes of just pouring out. I like to use the wide mouth jar if I'm having to stick my finger or a fork in there to pull out, such as pickles. We also are going to need the lids that go on the jars and the bands to hold them on.
Of
course. The lids are reusable, are not reusable, sorry. The bands are reusable, and of course so are the jars. I highly recommend that you check the jars before each use to make sure that it has no cracks or nicks in it.
Mom, don't the bands get rusty?
Never ever store your canned items with the band on it. The reason is moisture may collect underneath there and they can get rusty. This one I've used a couple of times already. It does have a little bit of rust forming underneath there. At this point it's not bothering me so much, and I'll keep reusing this one a few more times. Eventually I'm going to toss them.
Or I could make some wind chimes out of it.
You could make wind chimes out of them. Good idea. Other equipment you will need, the jar lifters.
What? That's what you call them?
Do you want to try? No, you want to get it around the mouth of it. Perfect. And then you can safely lift them out of the hot water without burning yourself.
And there's the magnet that does the lids.
The magnet that does the lids, if you're going to be putting the lids in the water to sterilize. I don't go through the trouble of sterilizing my jars. I feel like it's an extra step that's not necessary. As long as you are processing your canned food for at least 10 minutes, everything inside the jar is going to be sterilized during that process. If you go ahead and decide that you want to sterilize your jars beforehand, it doesn't hurt anything. Like I said, I feel like it's a waste of time. If you're taking a sterilized jar and putting food into it, that food is not sterile, is it? So you're basically contaminating a sterilized jar. So I feel like it's a waste of time. And a funnel. We're going to need a funnel to add our ingredients to the jars. Ingredients to make our vegetarian black bean soup. Of course, we have the black beans. I have 2 pounds of dried beans here that have been soaking. We're going to need 2 red peppers, about medium size, 2 medium-sized onions,
2 jalapeno peppers,
2 jalapeno peppers, that's optional, 4 or 5 celery stalks,
and 1 garlic thing.
Well, we're not going to use the whole head though. I think probably 3 or 4 cloves will do it. I have vegetable bouillon here. You can use vegetable broth if you make your own, or if you want to buy it. I like to use the bouillon. This is better than bouillon. This is the organic vegetable base. And
Base?
they call it a base. I have peppercorns that I'll grind, and I love this Himalayan pink sea salt. It has a really nice flavor. And we're going to need some cumin. And we're gonna have some tomatoes in
What
here.
is cumin?
Cumin is a spice.
What?
Here, smell. Does it remind you of the burritos that I make? And so we have some tomatoes here that I canned from one of my other lessons that you'll find there on YouTube. And I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and drain, rinse, and refill the pot with the beans and more water. I'm going to simmer this for 30 minutes while we go ahead and chop up our vegetables. And once we get to that point, I'll turn it back on and you can watch us cook. Okay?
Done?